Essential Colombian expressions to help you through the day. After almost 10 years based in Bogotá, one might have thought that I'd be fluent in Spanish by now. The fact is, I speak the dominant language here mostly in social settings, where conversations seldom turn into deep intellectual affairs. When I've had to use Spanish professionally, it's mostly been in a reading and writing capacity. Thus, I feel more comfortable using the language in those domains. Nonetheless, and with that social working class element very much in mind, I've adopted a few Colombian expressions to help one through the day. Although some of them may get one into a spot of bother if used incorrectly or in the wrong context. They are sayings that are quite away from the polite Bogotá world of "su merced," your mercy, when addressing people. Also, the likes of dar papaya, literally to give papaya fruit, and used when one exposes or has exposed oneself to a robbery or such like, I've explained umpteen times before. Do note, years ago I published a piece on useful to know Colombian gestures, which you can check out via the link in the accompanying text. It's a handy accompaniment to this, the gestures doubling up as words as well, of course. Aivamos. Perhaps my favourite of them all for the very simple fact that it has an Irish feel to it and sums up my life, and that of most people, I wager, adequately. Basically, it's similar to our use of grand, i.e. things aren't fantastic, but neither are they too terrible. The exact translation is there we go. ¿Cómo ha ido, Corrigan? Ahí vamos. No further questions, Your Honour. Except in these parts you generally get asked a salutatory question in a different form a multitude of times before the conversation moves on, if it moves on at all, that is. In the early days I used to think it was Aivamos, with the Spanish pronunciation of I somewhat similar to IE, especially when said rapidly. That makes no real sense though, with I meaning there is or are, and vamos as we go or let's go. It wasn't all down to my mishearing, however. Some locals do actually believe the expression is Aivamos. Marika. Okay, this is far from exclusively Colombian, and I did cover it in the gestures article referenced above. It means gay, homosexual, and can be used either jovially or, should the mood dictate, aggressively. Similar, it could be said, to how some British and Irish people use, to say it Cockney accented so as to appear less offensive to some here, can't. The reason I've included it is because in my beloved Barrio Santandercito, some people have a tendency to say gringo marica when I tell a joke or make a snide remark. This annoys me somewhat. As some of you will already know, I dislike being referred to as a gringo. Irlandese marica is fine. Gringo marica, no. Me Chupalante. This rather generic saying makes the list for the simple fact that it generated a great laugh when I was encouraged to say it in my local tienda. I suck is the literal translation, as simple as that. Now, is that a case of one sucking at something figuratively or actually sucking something? I guess it depends. Palascasea Gonorrhea. How I understand this retort is, more or less, whatever it is, gonorrhea. Colombians appear to love gonorrhea, not the actual sexually transmitted infection, blasting out the word that is. This particular saying is used in verbal defiance of somebody or something, as in, bring it on, I'm more than ready. Pégalo, ñero. Hit or stick it, Knacker. In my part of Ireland, Knacker is probably the closest word to ñero or ñera when referring to a female. Officially, scanger is more accurate, while in the UK it would be chav. The expression is employed similarly to previously mentioned palascasea. They seem to balance each other out. Pirobo. When I asked my Colombian friends who use this what it means exactly, they couldn't really tell me, only to explain how it's used. A Google search informs me that in Colombia it's another term for marica, generally used pejoratively. From my observations, it's uttered similarly, mostly in a non-offensive manner. Worthy mentions. Caramonda, caraverga, and hueputa, the one-word version of hijo de puta, son of a bitch, are also common but certainly not unique to the Colombian capital. Some Bogotanos, perhaps in a bid to get in touch with their costeño, people from the coast side, use caramonda and caraverga, both of which are similar to dickhead, almost in a mischievous manner. They're not their words, they're more the preserve of those less refined coastal folk, so they feel like they're crossing a boundary saying them, something like that. Pegaloñero, indeed.